Hey y'all, Wacky Wormer here with another episode of GregTech New Horizons. Last episode, we got everything started. We went out and searched for a good starting biome, looking for that humidity to be 70-80% or higher, and got pretty lucky and found this one with 80%, which is really nice. It's also like relatively flat, so it's going to just make a really great area to start our build in. You can see I collected a bunch of Pam's Harvestcraft gardens, and then I put the gardens back down and allowed them to propagate some. So I didn't pick up quite this many, but I planted them and let them propagate. I thought there was a limit to how many you could plant in maybe a chunk or like an area a little bit bigger than a chunk before they would stop propagating. And maybe we've hit that. I don't know. But they've propagated a lot more than I thought they would, which is really awesome. So we'll have a good variety of seeds to plant in our farm whenever we get that started. Last episode, we did craft the bed. We had to kind of circumvent the quest book a little bit and skip over the furnace part to get that crafted. And so, what I want to do today is to get that quest line finished out because that's going to unlock the Stone Age for us. If we open up our quest book here, I've done a little bit of fiddling around with this off camera and I've kind of broken things a little bit. The bed should definitely be visible here as attached to this wool and the soft mallet. So we're just going to hope that as I go through here and we build the furnace and then another soft mallet, that this bed pops up and that allows us to actually do the quest and then work on the next batch of quests. So first thing we want to do is craft a furnace. Like most of the early game recipes, it features a fair amount of flint and cobblestone. We're going to go ahead and craft that up. And then we get credit for that, which is nice. The soft mallet, I'm sure you'll remember this recipe is pretty easy. We're not going to get credit for this one because we're not quite full up on durability, but that's not a big deal. We will definitely use all of these mallets. So let's go ahead and craft that up. We should get credit for that. And then do we see the bed now? We do see the bed now. Nice. So then now I just need to go and pick our bed up and then place it back down. We want the axe for that, not the pickaxe. And there we go. All right. So with a little bit of harvesting, a little bit of crafting, we have fully completed all the way up to the bed. You can see there's a lot of other quests here for us to do, including quests that unlock other things. But this bed quest here is what unlocks the Stone Age. So if we look here at the Stone Age, our first quest here is just kind of informational. It says we ought to have a home by now, and we definitely need to think about a steady supply of food, and then this is providing us a way of carrying that food. I'm not going to put this to use quite yet, but we will before too long. And then our next task here, let's go ahead and look at this stone task. We want 25 stone. And that's pretty easy. Let's do like maybe half of this. And yeah, 29. Let's make it an even 30. Yeah. Making it an even 30 because if we look at this mortar quest, we can't actually, but if we pull up the recipe for it, we can see that it's going to use 5 stone and some flint in order to craft our mortars. And we'll be going through several mortars for sure. Lots and lots and lots of mortars. So go ahead and make that an even 30, and then we'll just let that smelt. And then we'll take a look at our other gathering quests. We need 2 stacks of clay, and we need 2 stacks of sand. And I believe I've got everything. Oh, I'm a little bit short on the clay. We've got all of the sand. Should be getting, yeah, there we go. So we got credit for the sand quest. But we do need clay. All right, so I picked up the rest of the clay and our furnace has finished smelting. I've already picked up all 30 of the stone that we smelted out of there. That does remind me, I did add a couple of mods to this mod pack. FTB utilities, and then it's a dependency of that FTB lib, and that just enables us to do chunk loading. And I'm gonna go ahead and get that set up for this section all around us now. This mod pack is definitely about not only, oh no. Yeah, so that's a blood moon. Okay, so I did end up logging out for that blood moon. It was just way too dangerous. There was no way, not only no way that I would survive the night, but even if I did, and just like completely hold up and everything, there would have been mobs out here that were not going to despawn, and it would not have been a fun time. So I logged out for the blood moon, and now we're back and ready to continue on with our quest book. And the next thing that we have up is it says macerator, and I think I called it a macerator earlier, but it's actually a mortar. And it's a pretty simple recipe, just some smooth stone or regular stone and iron ingots, or in our case, that's going to be flint. And this is a recipe we're going to be repeating an awful lot. The macerator or the mortar is used quite heavily in the early game until we get some steam powered machines that takes a little bit of that load and automates it for us. For right now, if we check the quest book, the first use of this is to create clay buckets. We're going to have to first create an unfired clay bucket before we can fire it up in the furnace and then make the finished product there. And that's going to require clay dust. So there's 5 clay dust that's required for this bucket. And then if I click the correct one, which I think it's not that one, it's probably the GregTech one here, we can see that it's crafted from 4 small piles of clay dust to create 1 regular size. And then this is crafted with the mortar. So that means we're going to need 5 times 4, which is 20 total clay dust. We'll do exactly 20 for now. It might be useful later to have multiple buckets. Certainly when it comes to moving lava around, I'm pretty sure it consumes the bucket as soon as you empty lava out of it. So we'll definitely probably want more then, but for right now, we'll just go with the 1 because it's not going to get consumed when we move water around, which is what we really need it for initially here. We're going to be using it to make paper, which is an important ingredient for all of those Tinker's workstations. So we've got our clay bucket here, which is awesome. There's some food rewards there, which is great because food is pretty rough right now. And then now if we look at this quest, we need to make 64 wood pulp, which will then be used to craft 16 paper. So if we open this up, and maybe we got the right one. Yeah, so we can see mortar and a log, pretty much any log, will be used to make 2 wood pulp. So we can squeeze that in right now. It was 2 and we need 64 total, so we just need 32 logs here. And you can see we've already consumed our first mortar. So let's go ahead and make another one and then do the rest of this. And there's our 64 wood pulp. We'll go to sleep real quick here so we don't have any hostile mobs showing up. And then we need to find a good spot to pull up some water. We could pull this up. Remember, there's no infinite water, right? So whatever I'm scooping up to do this, it's not going to refill. It's going to be kind of ugly. So if I pick this little pool right here, we can just kind of fill it in whenever we want to. And also recall that I don't have the Tinker's workstation yet. So unfortunately, these recipes are not going to stay in the crafting table and they'll pop out on the ground. So I got to do this the good old-fashioned way, and I'll see you on the other side when I'm finished with it. Okay, so I have decimated this little pool of water, but that's not a big deal. We've gotten our 16 paper, and we're definitely going to go ahead and claim this reward because that blank pattern will be useful. You saw how expensive paper was, so we'll take as many blank patterns as we can get. And then so the next thing we're going to be working on is our good old Tinker's tables here. Noticing that the crafting table is not present here, it's going to require some tools that I don't think we have access to until iron. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure you don't have access to a saw until iron. So we're going to get to work on crafting these. The part builder here is going to be the toughest one simply because it requires string. And string for us is not a resource we have kind of ready access to yet. I really need to get these cotton plants planted down, and that'll give me a pretty terrible but manageable recipe to get string. But we got kind of lucky, and I think I just heard a skeleton. I want to make sure to avoid that. Anyways, we got kind of lucky and spawned next to this, or found a base next to this infested greatwood tree, right? Which means that I can use my sword and harvest some of these cobwebs and get the 2 pieces of string that I'm going to need. And we finally have our tinker's tools. I'm going to line them up right here. And we're going to do, So we're going to do stencil table, pattern chest, part builder, tool station. And then of course I'm down to 1 blank pattern, which means I need to do some more processing and get some more patterns. And that's going to enable me to convert my flint tools or build new versions of my flint tools as actual tinker's flint tools, which will make them repairable. I think it gives them a little bit more durability and just all around a little bit more useful. So I think that's a good stopping point for the episode. Next episode, we should have a pretty short path to getting this coke oven built. You can see we're just missing a form, some bricks, and then the coke oven itself, which I think we have all the materials we need for this. So in addition to that, we'll probably work on building our flint tools, our actual tinker's flint tools, and then also probably planting our gardens. And that'll go a long ways towards helping us solve our food problems. It's definitely still going to be tricky because, you know, everything that comes out of these gardens has a very low satiation value, but and we have kind of a limited ability to cook things at the moment. But it's definitely going to go a long ways towards getting those resources we need in order to not starve to death, which is, I'm already kind of satiated out on these berries and apples. And I've even done a fair amount of conversion of these to juices with the soft mallet. So I'm looking pretty rough on the food side of things. And we definitely need a garden. So you can see just how rough that looks. But yeah, so that's what we'll do next episode. If you like the video, please subscribe and give a thumbs up. And I'll see y'all next time.